For 25 years, I gave them everything. My time, my money, my love, my sacrifices built their futures. But the moment I needed them, they betrayed me in a way I never saw coming. For 25 years, I built a life for my family. I sacrificed my time, my health, my dreams, all for them. I wasn't a perfect husband or father, but I was a provider. When my wife Linda wanted to stay home and raise the kids, I said yes. When my son Ethan wanted to go to an out-of-state college, I paid for it. When my daughter Chloe begged to study abroad in France, I took out a loan. I always said yes, because that's what a husband does. That's what a father does. And not once did I ask for anything in return. Not when I was exhausted. Not when I was missing out on life so they could live comfortably. Because I believed this was my duty. Because I believed they loved me. But love? Love isn't using someone. Love isn't taking without giving. Love isn't betrayal, and I was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Looking back, the warning signs were there. The late-night whispers. The phone screen flipping down when I walked into the room. The way Linda started going out more, dressing nicer, coming home late without explanation. At first, I brushed it off. We had been married for years. Maybe she just needed space. I told myself, "You're being paranoid. She's your wife. She loves you." But then she started disappearing for whole weekends. I'd ask where she had been, and she'd just sigh. "Oh, stop being so dramatic," she'd say. "I need time for myself. You're always working anyway." It stung. But what could I say? She was right. I was always working. Working to pay for everything. Working to keep this family afloat. I told myself it was just a rough patch, that things would get better. Then one day I came home early, and everything changed. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I had left work early, thinking maybe, just maybe, Linda and I could talk. Maybe I could fix whatever was happening between us. But when I walked through the front door, I heard it. Her voice. Soft. Laughing, and then, a man's voice. My heart stopped. I stepped closer, staying silent. She was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, twirling her hair like a teenager. "You don't have to worry," she was saying. "He's so busy working he never even notices." I felt my breath catch. She was talking about me. I cleared my throat. Linda jumped. Her phone slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the tile floor. She turned, eyes wide, face pale. "Oh, you're home early." I stared at her, then at the phone. It was still lit up, a name on the screen. Michael. I picked it up, held it out. "Want to explain this?" She swallowed. Then she laughed, a bitter, cruel sound. "Oh, come on," she said, rolling her eyes. "Don't act so shocked. You barely even pay attention to me anymore." I felt my breath catch. "What?" She crossed her arms. "You're always working, always tired, always too busy. What did you think was going to happen?" I stared at her, my hands shaking. "I thought," I said, voice low, "that we were partners." She scoffed. "Oh, please, partners? When was the last time you even took me out to dinner?" I blinked. "Excuse me?" "Face it," she said coldly. "You've been nothing but a paycheck for years. A paycheck." That was all I was to her. A walking, breathing ATM. I felt something in me break. But I didn't yell, I didn't argue, I just walked away. I turned around and left the house, because suddenly I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't go back that night, or the next. Instead, I called a lawyer. James had been my friend for years, a damn good divorce attorney who had seen cases like mine before. He didn't sugarcoat it. "She's gonna go after everything, and with the way the system works, she's got a shot." I clenched my jaw. "I expected that." He nodded. "But don't worry, she's also an idiot." I raised an eyebrow. "She never worked a day in her life, right?" he asked. I nodded. "She's not financially responsible?" "Not even close." He smirked. "Good, that's leverage. And leverage is exactly what we used." Linda demanded everything. Half of my retirement fund, full alimony for life, the house, child support, even though our kids were adults and independent. Her lawyer argued that she had been a devoted homemaker and deserved to be taken care of. James, being the shark that he was, ripped that argument to shreds. "She deserves alimony?" he countered in court. "Your Honor, she was cheating on my client for months before he left. We have phone records, financial transactions, and even testimonies confirming her infidelity." The judge didn't like that. Suddenly, her claim for permanent alimony was in serious jeopardy. Then, James played the ace up his sleeve. "Your Honor, the defendant," he gestured to me, "was the sole financial provider for 25 years. Meanwhile, the plaintiff," he turned to Linda, has never managed money a day in her life. She has mountains of credit card debt and no income. Translation? The moment she gets full control of the house, she'll default. And the judge saw right through her. Linda thought she had it all figured out. She thought that, no matter what she did, I'd always take care of her. That even after she cheated, I'd still be her safety net. But she underestimated one thing. I was done. I wasn't the weak, overworked husband she had grown used to. I had spent decades breaking my back for her. Now it was time to make sure she paid the price. Your Honor, he said, calmly but firmly, the plaintiff has been having an affair for months. We have evidence of financial transactions between her and another man, showing that she was spending my client's money on her affair partner. Linda's lawyer visibly flinched. James continued, she hasn't worked in over 2 decades, has a history of irresponsible spending, and, most importantly, my client provided for her entirely while she disrespected and deceived him. Then he dropped the final bombshell. And Your Honor, we have bank records showing she was hiding money. Linda's face drained of color. I had caught her funneling money into a secret account, planning to secure herself before leaving me. She had been playing this game for a long time. Now she was losing. When the judge read the ruling, I saw Linda break. She got the house, but was responsible for the mortgage. Spoiler, she defaulted in less than 6 months and had to sell it. She got a small alimony settlement, but only for 5 years, not for life. And with her spending habits, that money disappeared fast. She got 0 claim over my retirement. She had to pay half of my legal fees because of her dishonesty in court. She had lost, and she knew it. The moment we walked out of the courthouse, she grabbed my arm. You're really going to leave me like this? She hissed, her voice shaking. I looked her dead in the eye. You left me first. Then I pulled my arm away, and for the first time in 25 years, I walked away without looking back. But the battle wasn't over, because my kids were about to make the biggest mistake of their lives. 4 months after the divorce, Ethan and Chloe reached out, not to check on me, not to ask how I was doing, but to defend their mother. We met at a cafe and I knew before they even opened their mouths where this was going. Dad, Ethan started, his tone careful. Mom's really struggling, she had to sell the house. I sipped my coffee and, Chloe sighed, and you just left her like that? That's cold. I let out a bitter laugh. Cold? You mean like when your mother cheated on me for months? They both tensed. Dad, look, Ethan said, Mom made a mistake, but she was there for us. She took care of us. I set my cup down. And who made that possible? I asked. Who worked 80-hour weeks so she could stay home with you? Who paid for everything while she played house? Neither of them answered. I leaned forward. When was the last time she had a job? Silence. I nodded. Exactly. And now that she actually has to take care of herself, suddenly it's my responsibility? Chloe folded her arms. It's not like she has a lot of options, Dad. She had an option. She could have been loyal. She could have appreciated what she had. But instead, she threw me away the second she thought she had someone better. They didn't expect me to stand up for myself. They expected me to just roll over and keep paying for everything. Ethan sighed. I don't know, man. It just feels like you abandoned us. I felt something snap. I abandoned them? After everything I did for them? I sat back. Let me ask you something, Ethan. When was the last time you called me? He hesitated. The last time you called me, I repeated, was when you needed money. He shut his mouth. I turned to Chloe. And you? The last time we talked, you called me cheap for not giving you rent money. But now that your mother is struggling, suddenly I'm the bad guy? She looked down. I exhaled slowly. I spent 25 years giving you everything I had, and the one time I needed respect, you took her side. Ethan swallowed hard. Dad, it's not like that. I held up my hand. No, I get it now. Then, I said the most important words I had ever said to them. I was a good father. I let that sit for a moment. But being a good father doesn't mean I have to keep being your doormat. I stood up. You're both grown now. Time to figure out life on your own. Then I walked out. And this time, I meant it. Linda tried to reach out after that. First it was messages like, we should talk, we can fix this. Then it was, I don't have anywhere to go, can you help me just this once? Then finally, you heartless bastard, I gave you everything and you just threw me away like I was nothing. I never responded, because she had thrown me away first. And the best part, Michael, the man she cheated with, was long gone. Turns out he wasn't interested in marrying a broke middle-aged woman with no income. The karma was beautiful. It's been a year since the divorce was finalized. And let me tell you, walking away was the best decision I ever made. I bought a modest home just for me. I traveled for the first time in years. I reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with. I even started dating again. This time with someone who values me. And Linda? She's living with her sister, barely making ends meet. She went from having a devoted husband, a full bank account, and a luxury home, to living in a tiny apartment with no savings. And she did it to herself.